ओम सदाशिवसमारम्भां व्यासशङ्करमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्परां श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पादं शङ्करं लोकशङ्करं शङ्करं शङ्कराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः। ओम सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ओम शांति शांति शांति। ओम श्री परमात्मने नमः। In the previous class we concluded chapter 13 and I thought we'll just recap and I'll give you some key verses which you can mark because these are the key verses which is very important for this chapter. So as you all know, this 13th chapter is called Kshetram Kshetragya Vibhaga Yoga, or the division or the identification of who is Kshetram and who is Kshetragya, and what are the attributes of Kshetram and how do we know Kshetragya. This is the essence of the whole chapter itself. So the first mantra itself talks about the subject and object relationship. So Kshetram, if you look at the first mantra, Kshetram Kshetragya. So Kshetram means the body and the Kshetragya is the knower of the body. So that's what is there. The second verse is always a Mahavakyam, or it is quoted in all the whoever is a commentator, whoever talks about any lectures, etc. They quote from this particular chapter. What Kshetram Kshetragya Chapi Mam Vidhi Sarva Kshetreshu Bharata. Kshetram Kshetrak Tayor Jnanam Yatta Jnanam Matham Mama. So it means what a person who knows the difference between Kshetragyam and Kshetragya and Sarva Kshetreshu Bharata, so the one which is present everywhere as the one Kshetragya. And such a knowledge, clear knowledge according to me, is a person who is called Yatta Jnanam Matam Mama. He is supposed to be the superior or the most valuable knowledge a person can get. So the same topic is referred to also in the Dribdishiveka also, where the seer number 1, seer number 2, seer number 3 is discussed. So the seer number 1 is the sensory organs, the seer number 2 is the mind, which is through which the sensory organs, sensory powers get illumined, and the ultimate seer is the Sakshi, the witness, who is not seen. So Sakshi Natu Drishyate. Then in verse number 5, he talks about the creation of the Prakriti itself, how this is all made of. So Maha Bhutanya Ahankaro Buddhi Avyaktamevacha Indriyani Dashikamcha Panchendri Gochara. So Mahabhutani, when you say here, it talks about the 5 elements: the air, fire, water, space, and earth. The 5 elements. Then Ahankaraha, the subtle element Ahankaraha, Buddhi. Then Dashaha. So there are 5 elements and 5 sensory powers. So right. So Dasha Ekam. We say Dasha Ekam means 5 elements and 5 sensory subtle powers and 1 Ahankaraha. So all of them, they constitute the 11, Dasha Ekam. And Indriya Gochara, we say Gocharam means, Agochara means that this which is cannot be beyond the sensory powers. Pulangalukku apparpattavai. So So agochara means pulangalku apparpattavai. That which is beyond the sensory organs, sensory powers is agochara. And indriya gochara means that which is available for perception. Okay. So all of them is talked about here as Mahabhutani Ahankaro Avyaktamevacha Indriyani Dashikamcha Pancha Chendriya Gochara. Is also an important verse. It talks about the different elements which are called Kshetram. So they are all called Kshetram. So one has to know what is Kshetram, right? So these are all called the known objects. So Kshetram means those which are known objects. Then in verse number 6, he talks about the values he talks about. See, Icha Dveshaha Sukam Dukkam Sangatas Chetana Dhritihi Etat Kshetram Samasena Savikara Mudaharitam. So, Icha Dveshaha Sukam Dukkam. So, Icha Dveshaha means they are opposites. Likes and dislikes. Sukam Dukkam, happiness and pleasure, happiness and pain. And Sangat Achetanaha. So Sangataha means, so all this Chaitanya Shakti, Dhritihi means determination. Dhritihi, determination. Etat Kshetram Samasena. So all these things are subject to change. See, Sukam is going to come. Dukkam is going to come. Icha likes is going to come, dislike also will come and go. So there's nothing called permanent likeness and nothing called permanent dislikeness. Because for some, whatever we like, somebody may dislike it. So it is not that from the standpoint of the person individual, it is liking. But from a standpoint of somebody else, it is disliking for it. But there is always somebody who is liking the product. See, you may not like the product, I may not like the particular thing. But there is somebody else who is liking that particular thing which you may not like. So here the concept is not about individuality, it's all about totality. Understanding that everything is subject to change. One day, today you may like this product, tomorrow you may not like the product. After sometimes you may say, you like this, you will not like this. So this comes and goes. It's called Etat Kshetram. So Etat Kshetram means these are all the Kshetram. Then in verse number 7, he gives the qualities. Amanitvam, Adambitvam, Ahimsa, Shanti, Arjavam. It's a very important quality here. So, Amanitvam, Adambitvam, Ahimsa, Shanti, Arjavam, Acharya Upasanam, Shaucham, Stairyam, Atma Vinigraha. So Amanitvam means that where you do not have any pride. And Adambitvam, Dambaha, means you do not go and praise to anybody that you are a Sanskrit scholar, you know everything, or you do not praise yourself about it. You do not have any, you go and don't, blow your trumpet to anybody. So I am this person, I am this person. So, Adambaha, Ahimsa, very important quality also. So the person who doesn't insult anybody or talk to anybody, or it's by words or by speech or by deed or anything like this. Ahimsa. Then Shanti, so one who maintains peace. Always the person resorts not to be quieter or develop the quality of being quiet. So sometimes, we feel being quiet is something not good, but actually I feel that if you are quiet, you are pondering over it, or you are thinking about something. If you are not quiet, if you are jumpy and responsive, sometimes that can disturb your mental steadiness. So it is better to be quiet, and it's a good quality because being quiet is very important. So you should be able to sit in one place, or at least spend maybe 4 to 5 hours in a day just by yourself. It may be just relaxing something, reading something, and not responding to all the external influences. So that is how a person develops this quality. So Shanti. Then Arjavam. Arjava means straight talking person. Like straight talking doesn't mean you're insulting somebody. Straight talking means you do not accept something which is incorrect. Or you can educate the person saying that this is not correct, this is the way it should be, or you could look at this way. So Arjavam. Right? So whatever actions you do, you should be straightforward. You must not be resorting to something which is behind the back of somebody. So you must, whatever you say, you must do. So it's called Arjavam. Then Acharya Upasana. So the one who has got unflinching, commitment to the Acharya. Or when you say Acharya, means Acharati the Acharya. The one who follows is called Acharya. So the one who follows Dharma, the one who follows a lifestyle which is suited for pursuing knowledge is called Acharya. So Acharya Upasana means the person who, you don't have to worship the Acharya. You do not have to, you have to have respect for the teacher, for the teaching as well, because you respect the teacher to the teaching. So it's called Acharya Upasana, very important quality. Shaucham. Shaucham means Bahya Shaucham and Antara Shaucham, both are required. Then Stairyam. Stairyam means Jada Shaktihi, or the one who has got firmness in the mind. So Stairyam. So unflinching commitment is very important. Stairyam. Then Atma Vinigraha. So Atma Vinigraha means the one who has got control over his sensory organs and sensory powers. Atma Vinigraha. So very important quality is given here. Then verse number 8 also is an important verse. Indriyateshu vairagyam anahankaram evacha janna mrityu jara vyadi dukkha dosha anudarshanam. So indriyateshu. So indriyateshu means the person who has got vairagyam. So indriyateshu vairagyam. So vairagya means the person has got dispassion towards all the arthas, which is connected with the indriyas. So through the sensory organs, sensory powers, mind, a person has developed vairagya, dispassion. Right? And ahankaram evacha. So ahankaram also, a person has dispassion towards ahankaram also. So he doesn't anymore have any wrong perception of ahankara. Because ahankara, we've been discussing also in other class that it is like a dress, and it masquerades and does activities under the guise of the Atma. It's like a robber. It is hiding and then doing all the activities and pretends to be that the Atma is the doer. But in reality, the ahankara is the culprit. So once you catch hold of the culprit, and you give the proper treatment according to what is required, then the ahankara does not rise again. It is controlled. Right? So it is, as long as the robber is not caught, he will move around, he will create more havoc. So you need to capture it. So capturing is important. That's why it says here, Indriyateshu vairagyam ahankaram evacha. Then janna mrityu jara vyadi Sukha dukkha dosha anudarshana. So dukkha dosha anudarshana means, darshanam itself means having vision. Anudarshana means having a clear vision that janmaha and mrityu, these two are something which is common for everybody. It is not something, you cannot control this. And jara vyadihi. So as you become old, vyadi will come to you. It is something you cannot say that I will become very old, but I will not have any disease at all. So along when you become old, disease will come. You will have diabetic, you will have sugar problem, you will have eyesight problem, you will have blood pressure problem, arthritis. You name it, you will have everything. There are some who will have all diseases. Sometimes when I go to India, I see, there was a time when, when mother was very young at that time, before, even for one tablet, she will not have it because my uncle used to tell me that, if she falls sick, even one single tablet, she will not have it and she will just hide under the tongue and spit it out. She was allergic to all tablets. Now, when you go, she's 83 now, and she's got a whole box as big, and all in the box there are so many varieties of every half an hour, every 1 hour, some tablet comes out, some tablet goes inside. So I feel sad for her because when you in age, you get all set of ailments. It is something which you cannot avoid. Correct. So a person who sees this clearly and accepts this change as something which is related to the physical body, right? So such a person is anudarshana. So anudarshana means the person has got a very clear vision. So life, death, all of them, the person keeps recollecting on all these things and understanding the fallacy of all of them. Such a person is talked about here. Then also in verse number 9, he gives more qualities. See, putra dhara griha adishu. So, and the person is what? Is anabhishvangaha. So, anabhishvangaha means the person who's not have this my sense, mamakaraha. Anabhishvangaha means the person who doesn't have the my sense towards what is putraha, dharaha. So dhara means wife and putra means son and griha adishu. So house. So the person doesn't have any mamakara towards my wife, my children, my house, etc. I mean, it is there for vyavahara. You cannot just say that, you're not my wife tomorrow. You cannot say that. It is understanding only. What it understands tells is that all these people who are there, putra, they will come and go. Wife will come and go because they come on their own merit. They come on their own karma phala only. So they are not going to be there all the time with you. They are there for as long as you are there, they are there. So they are only for vyavahara, for transactional purpose. For paramarthika purpose, they are not there. This is what is the meaning. So, nityam cha samachitvam. So the person who has got nityam samachitvam. Then ishta nishtopa pattishu. So ishtaha anishtaha. So whether you like it or you don't like it, both of them, and he is always steady, nityam. And how samachittaha. So always is steady, samachittam. So something you like, something you don't like. So you don't have to react. So how do? You just be neutral. Because whatever you don't like today, tomorrow it will be liked also. And it is not good to respond also if you think it is not going to change anything. So it doesn't mean that by responding or not responding something, you are running away. You are just being wise that it is of no use. And by responding to something, you are only aggravating your own problem. Or if you think it is not going to solve anything, you just don't respond. So, or samachitvam means what? Just being a witness. So a very good quality here. So for that he says in verse number 10, Mai chananya yogena bhakti ravi abhicharini vivikta deshe se vitvam arati jana samsadhi. So he says, you focus on me. Mai chananya yogena. So it means you focus on me through the yoga and become always a bhakta, abhicharini bhakta. So So in the bhakti philosophy, I taught you about abhicharani bhakta. It means the bhakti which does not slip. It's called abhicharani bhakta. So it's not that one day you have bhakti and then next day you don't have bhakti. So your bhakti doesn't reduce, or your bhakti does not reduce or increase. It's just same, consistently same bhakti. You do not change your attitude towards anything. So it's called abhicharani bhakti. So in such a cases, you have to follow the yoga. So be that bhakti, follow that process towards me. And vivikta deshehe, so means what? You sit alone. Vivikta means, deshaha means place. So you contemplate, have a separate place for yourself. So it can be any place where you like to be by yourself. It can be any corner of the room. It can be your puja room. It can be any place where you feel confident that you can spend time alone, just contemplating, just meditating. Because if you are living in a family grahastha, or if you are in a family, kids, children will be there. They will come and disturb, and they will come and they need your attention. But you have to know the time when you need for yourself, and during that time you just be yourself and contemplate on this thing. So be a bhakta. Right? And a jana samsamdi. See, jana samsamdi means arati, means you free yourself from all the laukika vishaya, worldly activities, or wherever there is crowd. So you do not want to see the person who wants to be alone. He doesn't follow the crowd. You cannot be peaceful in a very, very commotion place. You got to be always be quiet. So that's why the sannyasis, all the people who are there, they do not come in front of you. They'll always be going around some areas. Nobody will know about if the person existed. Somebody will say, I saw that sannyasi walking somewhere. Did you see him tomorrow? No, he's not there anymore. He has gone somewhere else. So it is not, you're not in limelight. You're always outside somewhere, people do not know you. Sometimes it's good because people don't know you is better for you. If you're very popular, then you'll be always be phoning, you'll be called, people will come and drop by you. So Vedanta teaches you this secret technique of how to be free yourself. Because you want to be free from all these things. How will you be free? Only when you disconnect from other societies. That's what it says here. Jana samsadi arati means you do not have interest in this. Then verse number 11 also is a very important one. Adhyatma jnana niyatatvam tattva jnanata darshanam. Etat jnanamiti proktam jnanam yatato anyatha. So proktam jnanam yatato anyatha. So proktam jnanam. So etat jnanam. So adhyatma jnanam means what? The one which is, you have to focus yourself on adhyatmaha, one's own self, and nityatvam, always. And in this way, if you do tattva jnanat darshanam, so you will be able to see the truth of the tattva jnana. So etat jnanam iti proktam jnanam yatato anyatha. So this is what is said as the jnanam here. The verse number 12 also is a very important verse. Nyeyam yatat pravakshyami yajñatva mritamashnute anadi matparam brahma na satanna sadayuchyate. So Nyeyam means that which is to be known, and Yatat Pravakshyami means I'm going to say, or I'm going to be discussing elaborately. What is this? Yajñatvam mritam ashnute. So Amritam Ashnute means the person who attains Amritaha. The person who attains immortality is discussed here. I'm going to elaborate on this. And Ashnute means he attains Ashnute. And what is Anadi Matparaha Brahmaha? So that Brahma is Anadi and Matparaha. We've given this example. Also called as Sad. Then Na Asad Uchyate. So Sad and Asad Uchyate. So it's important verse number 12. Then verse number 17 is also an important verse. Jyotisham api tad jyotihi tamasaf paramuchyate jnanam jneyam jnanagamyam hridi sarvasya vishishtitam. So Jyotisham api tad jyotihi means if there is a light, then this is the most illustrious light or the light of the light. Say this. So Jyotisham api jyotihi. So, and this jyotihi tamasaf paramuchyate. So this particular knowledge is beyond tamasaf parastat. They say it means it's beyond the tamas or beyond the darkness. Because when there's darkness, there is no light. In this light, there is no darkness. These two are opposite each other. And jnanam, jneyam, jnanagamyam. So what is jnanam should be known. What is knowledge should be known. And what is to be known also to be understood. And jnanagamyam. So what is to be attained by knowledge also is to be known. And hridi sarvasya vishishtitam. So this is being explained clearly in the previous verses. That's what it says here. Then in verse number 22, this is the seed sloka for chapter 14. So the seed mantra. So there's always something which is Krishna leaves behind as a tracer to start something. So this particular mantra is the seed sloka for chapter 14. See, Upadrishtanu manta cha bharta bhokta maheshwaraha paramatmeti chapyukto dehespin purushah paraha. So Upadrishta means the person who is actually Sakshi. And Bharta Bhokta. So Bhokta means the person who enjoyer. And Bharta means the one who is the protector of everything. Bharta Bhokta. And he is Maheshwaraha. So Upadrashta, the Sakshi, Anumantaha Dehespin Purushah Paraha. So this Sakshi is actually what? Dehespin Purushah Paraha. The one which is beyond everything is the Sakshi. It's called Satchit Anandaha. And Paramatma Iti. So this is called the Paramatma Iti. Then in 27, verse number 27, Samam Sarveshu Bhuteshu Tishtantam Parameshwaram Vinashyantam Yaf Pashyati Sa Pashyati. So Vinashyatsvam Avinashyantam Yaf Pashyati Sa Pashyati. So Samam Sarveshu Bhuteshu, the one who sees equanimity in everything. Samam Sarveshu Bhuteshu Tishtantam Parameshwaram, the one who is established as the Parameshwara. Tishtantihi. The one who is of the nature of Vinashyanti. that means the one which is perishable, and also avinashyantihi. Such a person, pashyati sa pashyati, means what? The person really sees the truth. So pashyati means see, and the double word pashyati sa pashyati means he sees, and he sees very clearly. He sees very clearly that the Parameshwara is source of both the destructible and the indestructible also. Okay. And he is the one who sees equanimity in everything. Samam sarveshu bhuteshu. And such a opinion is tishtantaha, is firmly established. Then he concludes in 34, verse number 34, he concludes saying that Kshetram Kshetrak Tayor Evam Antaram Kshetra Kshetra Tayomanantaram Jnana Chakshushaha Bhuta Prakriti Moksham Cha Ye Vidyuryanti Te Param. So Vidyuryanti Te Param. So Vidur means, Viduhu means the person who knows. Okay, Vidur can say, Viduhu. And Jnana Chakshushaha means a person who sees with the Jnana Kangal, or the person who sees with the eyes of the knowledge. And Kshetram Kshetragyaha Tayor. Antaram means the differences or Vedapad. So the person who sees the differences between the Kshetram and Kshetragyaha very clearly, how through Jnana Chakshushaha. It is not possible to see with our eyes. One has to see with the eyes of the knowledge. The eyes of the Shastram we should use to see the differences. And Bhuta Prakriti Moksham Cha. Right? So Prakriti, and because of the Prakriti, all these activities, right, which are due to the nature of Prakriti. Understanding that Prakriti is the one which is responsible for all the actions, and such a person, he just does not get associated with that kind of things. So moksham, he becomes free. Right? And such a person, viduhu, yanti te param. So he goes, yanti means travels, or a person attains, and he attains the param. So with that, he concludes the chapter 13, which is the very important chapter in the Bhagavad Gita, one of the important chapters. In fact, every chapter is important. I keep saying this. Somehow, from chapter 12 to chapter 18, it is a very important, a lot of important things are there. Because he tries to bring a few things connected. The Asi Padartha has been introduced. The first 6 chapters talks about the Tvampada Rakshartaha, the individual. Then the second 6 chapters talk about the Tatpada Rakshartaha, who Bhagavan is. So he talks about Jiva, and then he talks about the Paramatma himself. Then the 12th to 18th chapter, he talks about the integration between Jiva and Paramatma. So Asi Padartha Rakshartaha. So Tattvamasi is covered, the Mahavakyam is covered in the Bhagavad Gita. So it is broken into 3 sections. First 6, second 6, and third 6. So right now we are the third aspect of it. Is it clear? Anyone has got anything, any questions to ask or anything in the chapter? Gopalji, everything okay? Okay. Hemaji, you're okay with all the chapters so far? So now we go to chapter 14. It's called Gunatraya Vibhaga Yoga. Gunatraya Vibhaga Yoga. So, Gunatrayaha means it talks about the three gunas. And Vibhaga means the division of the three gunas. So this chapter is being introduced because Shankara denotes that anything that is created, so anything that is created in the universe is due to the connection between Kshetram and Kshetrajna. So there is a connection. Anything which is created is, we saw the Prakriti, like the Prakriti was being created. And the Prakriti has got gunas. So the Prakriti has got Sattva Guna, Rajo Guna, Tamo Guna, because it is governed by that. And because he introduced the topic in chapter 13, as saying that the person who knows, if you look at the last verse, I told you that he says that a person who knows that this is all because of Prakriti, such a person becomes moksha. He is a person who becomes free, yanti te param. So he just introduces the word Prakriti there, mentions here and there, but it doesn't elaborate on what Prakriti is and what are the gunas that bind you. So the Sattva Guna, Tamo Guna and Rajo Guna are the three different moods, you can say. So right now we are all in Sattva Guna. So we are all very, very enthusiastic, eager to learn, and we are all switched on. Even though it is night time here, even though it is afternoon time here in India or in Singapore or evening time, but it's still switched on. But after some time, the Tamo Guna will take over due to, just the way it is, because the weather changes, the night approaches, Tamo Guna comes. And during that time, something different is being pursued. And how a person sees this really is being understood here. Okay? So, what are the three gunas? What are the gunas? How do they bind? So, the topic of the discussion is what are the three gunas? How do they bind? And how one should be released from them. And what are the characteristics of the free person? So 4 things are being addressed. What are the gunas? How do they bind a person? How should one get free from those gunas or released from those gunas? And what are the attributes or the characteristics of the wise person, the free person? So these are the topics that has been discussed in this chapter. So let's look at the first verse, where it talks about the Brahma Vidya is the ultimate and the most exalted knowledge in any form. So Brahma Vidya means Atma Vidya, or the knowledge of the self, is the one which is the most exalted knowledge. There's no other knowledge that is superior to this. Everything else he calls the Apara Vidya. See, Apara Vidya is important. Apara Vidya means what? Those knowledge which are not Paraha. Example, studying of grammar, doing rituals, karmas, building temples, going to temple worship, offering vrataha, any activity which you do, donation, all anything, they are all called apara vidya. I mean, they are all required, but they are not going to free you, or they are not going to make you free. But they are all required, not that you should not do it. You must do it, but understanding that if you stretch it too long and if you just get into the mindset for long, then you would not be able to come out of it. Sometimes this can bind you. So imagine that if you've got a very busy life schedule of doing elaborate puja in the morning. So you're just busy. The morning when you get up, Your time is spent in washing utensils, making it shine, arranging line everything, decoration, making garlands, cleaning the table, cleaning all the places, decorating the Lord, reciting all Parayanam, etc. Then doing elaborate rituals based on this. After that, doing prasada, etc. So all these things which are there, they are, once you start liking them, then it becomes routine. After that, you cannot come out of it. If you don't do for a day, you feel very bad. Is it right? So once you get used to the particular lifestyle, in the morning you do that, and suddenly if you're not able to do it, the question is, are you at peace that today I didn't do it, it's okay? Or tomorrow also I'm not able to do it, it's okay. No, but you feel very guilty about it. So that is why this guna binds you. So the guna means the attributes, the sattva guna. So in the morning when you do the puja, is sattva guna. And sattva guna also binds you. Rajoguna means the person is running all the time. He's running busy. Doing this, doing that, going to temples, offering temples, so many committees, chairmen, so many things are there. He's very busy also. That also can bind you. See, even Shastra study also can bind you, because if you are doing it for Atmagyanam, it is fine. But if you think that, oh my God, tomorrow I don't have any students, supposing, I don't have anybody tomorrow and I'm alone, then what do? Oh my God, I don't have anything to do. I was busy all day having classes, etc. Now I don't have anything to do. Then what do? You feel very bad. So if you come to the situation like this, then also it is not good. So whether there is activity, there's no activity or not, you are not dependent on any of them. You are not dependent on the happiness of any of those things. That means situation don't make you happy. They don't make you unhappy. You are just happy by yourself. You do not need the company of another person or another activity to make you happy. So when situation comes like this, when you are dependent on a situation or an activity to keep you busy and become active and happy, then that is called bondage. And it is also part of the guna, the attribute. Some people are very rajasic in nature. They cannot sit in one place. Like, they just so much of energy. So how do they do? See, if you got energy, what will you do? See, I do not have energy, then what do? You do not do those kind of activities. But some people have a lot of energy, so they have to expend it. So they'll have to do activities. They cannot sit in one place. They'll call somebody, or they'll go to somebody's house, or they'll organize something here. Very, very busy organizing things. The people are there. So Shastram puts everything down. See, just keep beating a person regularly, right? It will make a person very, very quiet. So you slowly become disassociated with the other activities, and that is what is discussed here. Is develop the qualities. So Brahma Vidya is ultimate knowledge, and he says here, he is going to discuss again elaborately. He says here, Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Param Bhuya Pravakshyami Param Bhuya Pravakshyami Jnananam Jnanamuttamam Param Bhuya Pravakshyami Jnananam Jnanamuttamam Yagyatva Munayas Sarve Yagyatva Munayas Sarve Param Siddhi Mito Gataha Param Siddhi Mito Gataha Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Param Bhuya Pravakshyami Jnananam Jnanamuttamam Yagyatva Munayas Sarve Param Siddhi Mito Gataha. So Shri Bhagavan Uvacha. So the Bhagavan now continues, because he thinks that he has left something incomplete. He talked about some things. Sometimes Arjuna starts discussion. Sometimes Krishna started discussion. So here Bhagavan himself continues the discussion, seeing that Arjuna is in listening mode. Sometimes the student is very, bored or tired. Then the teacher also will not continue. He will see. See, if you are behind the phone, we don't know. But if you have got a camera there, I can see you how you are reacting. Then I can see that you are tired, or then I can reduce the class or mix the class depending on what it is. But sometimes this is important. So there Krishna is standing in front of Arjuna, and Arjuna is not hiding from anybody. So he sees that he's looking at me, listening to me. So let me give him a few more things for him to contemplate on. So there's nothing that you can. I'm not saying that you should not come. It's up to you. So it says here that Param Bhuya Pravakshami. So I'm going to say again. So I am Bhuya means again. Okay. And Pravakshami means I'm going to tell very clearly now. Okay. And what is it? Jnananam Jnanamuttamam. So out of all forms of knowledge, Jnananam means of all the forms of knowledge, which is the one which is Uttamaha, Jnanamuttamam. So I'm going to tell you out of all the forms of knowledge. See, we have different forms of knowledge. We have chemistry, we have biology, we have history, we have physics, politics, journalism, medicine. So many things are there. Economics, law. So many topics are there, and all of this, there is no end to it. Like a person can get into any of them and they will get sucked into it forever. You can be in chemistry for lifetime. You can keep on experimenting. You can make this chemical, you can make that chemical, you can join that chemical together, produce another chemical. You can keep on doing that, and finally there's no end to it, because imagination is the end. And anything in this objective world is subject to this. Like anything which you are going to subject imagination, it is up to you to what you experiment. So you will be in this realm forever. That's what it says here, is that Jnananam. So that includes all the forms of knowledge. And out of this, Vakshami Jnanamuttamam. So I'm going to, Pravakshami Jnananam Jnanamuttamam. So I'm going to say what is the most, Uttamam means that which is higher nature, exalted. Uttamaha means the most exalted here. See, all knowledge is sacred. See, Bhagavan does not say that you must not study this, you must not do this. He says that it's all important. See, you need to study to know what it is. But one must also know that if you just get carried away only in studying that, supposing you are a fanatic for grammar, so you want to study grammar perfectly, and you are looking at everything minutely, then you'll lose the point in the teaching. You know what I'm saying? What is important to you? Is the eating of the fruit important, or you want to make how the tree is coming, or how the mango is being made, or how the mango undergoes change? Is important to you or not? The understanding is that you won't eat the mango, and when you eat the mango, you will feel happy about it. So knowledge is important to you, right? And as long as you're able to get the knowledge, as long as you're able to understand the vision, the rest of the things are not that important according to Shastra. It is called Aparavidya. But if you're focusing a lot on the Aparavidya, then the Paravidya becomes secondary to you. You get what I'm saying? So spending time on minute details is okay, it's important. But one must not be spending too much time on minute details with the aspect of forgetting the other things. So the key thing is understanding what you want to know. And if the message is clear to you, if you're able to see through the vision, that is what is important. Because the whole purpose of study of Atma Vidya is to say that you are Brahman and how it is communicated. The words are indicative, the presentation is indicative. So it can mean some things, it cannot mean some things also. But if you get stuck on it or hung on it for a long time, then it becomes a stumbling factor for you to assimilate knowledge. Okay, so that is what it says here, that Parambuya Pravakshyami Jnananam Jnanamuttamam. Then Yajñātva means knowing which. So Yajñātva means knowing which. Munayaha means, see, Munayaha means Munihi. All the Munihi means sage. And Munayaha means the plural form, or Munayaha means all the sages. All the rishis, etc. Sarvehe. So all the rishis, etc. who are there, they have achieved what? Param Siddhi. So they have achieved that ultimate success or the release. So now he is going to reveal that secret or that particular knowledge which has been used by all the rishis. And the rishis have used them very well to get themselves freed from all these things, all the sages. So they call Munayaha. So Munayaha means Munihi, or the wise person, the learned person. It's called Munihi. Munayaha. Sarve Param Siddhi Mato Gataha. So Siddhi means attainment, and Gataha, when you say here, at reached. So Gataha means that who has gone, who has reached that place. So Sarve Param Siddhi Mato Gataha. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Param Bhuya Pravakshyami Jnananam Jnanamuttamam Yajñātva Munayas Sarve Param Siddhimito Gataha. So Param Siddhim Itaha means what? The word Itaha. Ito Gataha means, Itaha means from this body. So the word Itaha denotes from this body. So a person gets freedom from this body. How? By knowing all the knowledge which is there. And out of all the knowledge, he understands what is the ultimate knowledge. Jnana Muttamam. So he selects those knowledge, or that knowledge which is of the superior nature. And then he leaves behind those things which is not important. Like one needs to study all these things. One needs to study grammar. You need to know this. But you must not be held up on this particular thing for a long time. That you are paying attention to all this nitty-gritties, everything, etc. And it becomes a binding factor for you. So you must know this. At the same time, you must come out of it also. Use them as support mechanism. Do not bring it as a primary mechanism. Atma Jnanam is supposed superior. So in Bhajagovinda, when you say here, in the class Bhajagovinda, we see the person is reciting grammar at an old age of 80 years of age. Adi Shankara comes and tells him, why are you reciting at this age all the grammar, etc. So Dukrin Karane, Dukrin Karane, Dukrin Karane. So it's a statement in the grammar. So Dukrin Karane means the Karanam, the instruments of action does it, they do it, they do it, they do it. So it's a statement in the grammar. It's one of the sutras. So Maheshwari Sutrani, one of the sutras is there. Dukrin Karane. So this person Dukrin Karane, Dukrin Karane, Dukrin Karane keeps repeating it because he bangs his head, he does it. He doesn't want to forget it. So this is what your age now. What is the point of reciting all this grammar, etc., getting perfected, etc., when you have lost the plot? What are you trying to achieve by studying grammar? He said, by studying grammar, I want to achieve Atma Jnanam. So when Atma Jnanam is available to you, why you focus so much on this? He said, for that, you don't need a lot of grammar. You need grammar to the extent what is required. But grammar should not be the limiting factor for you. You know what I'm saying? It should not become the limiting factor you, whereby you are now stuck only on that, all the nitty-gritties of how to structure this, how to do this, how to do this. And then in the process of being so busy that you're forgetting the whole picture. So it should only be an aid to it. It should not actually be a hindrance to it. That is how what it says here. Okay. So yajnatva munayah sarve param siddhi mato gataha. So with these two words, paramam and uttamam, Krishna is creating an interest and enthusiasm in the listener. So so there's something called uttama knowledge, and there's something called para. So what are this knowledge? One wants to know. So whatever I've been studying, is it apara knowledge, para knowledge? And what is uttamam and anuttamam? So he wants to create interest. So for that, he just starts a discussion point saying that out of all these things, I think this is what is important. This is how the rishis have actually become free. So do you want to become free is a question. So that they have become free. So what does it mean? That you can also become free. So there's an interest. Oh, why not free at all? So now, why can't I get free? Is the natural interest one will ask. Right? So you want to know more about it. So that's what it says here. All the people like the rishis, Vasishta, Vyasa, etc. They have achieved paramgati. So I'll just introduce this verse number 2 to you. Then next class I'll continue with the unfoldment of this verse. Idam jnanam upashritya mama sadharmyamagataha sarge pinopajayante pralayena vyatanti cha idam jnanam upashritya mama sadharmyamagataha sarge pinopajayante pralayena vyatanti cha. So idam jnanam, so this knowledge, upashrityaha means the person who resorts to this knowledge, resorting to this knowledge, mama sadharmyam agataha. Sadharmyam means oneness with me. Agataha means those who have gained. So the person who has got this knowledge, idam jnanam upashrityaha, resorting to this knowledge. The people who have got this knowledge of use this knowledge, they have become or they have attained oneness with me. Okay. And sarge api means even when there is creation. So even when there is creation, na upajayante. So whether there is creation or no creation, they do not come into existence at all. So when you say coming into being, it means what? Janma. And when Janma is there, death is there. And death is there, Janma is there. Correct. So anything which is taking birth will die. And anything which is dying will take birth. So how do you come out of this? By understanding the Janma Mrityu is not part of this. You are not part of that. You are that Brahman. So sarge api na upajayante pralayena vyatanti cha. So even when Mahapralayam happens also, so when the pralayam happens and the whole dissolution also happens, you will not perish because you are not a perishable commodity anymore. You already declare yourself as imperishable Brahma, Aksharam Brahma. So when you have the vision like this, then you do not get affected by anything which is happening around you. Creation, anga prachna irukku. Some people ask, see, why is all this happening? And why can't Krishna come now? See, இதெல்லாம் question கேட்கிறா இருக்கா? They are not interested in learning what you should know. They are interested in what Krishna will come and cure them. And why all this is happening. So they are interested in Laukika Vishaya. But they should use the Shastram to study, to understand why it is happening. Correct? You are not interested in getting mukti for everybody, correct? What are you interested in? You are interested in getting mukti for yourself. No, I want to get mukti for the whole family. It is not possible. நான் படிக்கிறேன் சாஸ்திரம் படிக்கிறேன் பட் என்னோட எல்லா ஃபேமிலிக்கும் எல்லாம் முக்தி வந்துடும் அப்படின்னு வராது. யார் படிக்கிறாலும் அவ்வளவுதான் முக்தி வரும். If you are studying for yourself, only you will benefit. Your husband or wife will not benefit from anything what you are doing. Likewise, if somebody else is learning something else, he will benefit only from that what he is learning. You will not get benefit from that. So, understanding what is important. So, Paravidya, Aparavidya. So, all Aparavidya is about all this chanting, all this, grammar, all the karmas which you do, all the Aparavidya. But they are all required. It's not that they are not required, but they are Aparavidya because they are not going to contribute to Jnana. They are only karma, they are only activities. So, by avoiding those things or by getting out of those at some point of time and switching to this Jnana, and idam jnanam upashyatyaha. So by resorting to this knowledge, you will become one with me. Mama sadharnyam agataha. So even sargepi, even when there is a creation or when there is pralayam, you will not be affected by this. Because you are not worried about death. See, death, vanda kuda, supposing death comes, you will be afraid. So I'm not saying that, oh, my death is coming, oh, I'm laughing. Death vanda kashtam irukum. You will feel mentally upset, you will feel disturbed, but what you will also feel, it's death, it's a physical body. So you've already been told that you are not a physical body. And death is for the physical body. Yes, I'm going to go one day, it is okay. So you reconcile to the fact even now. So when you reconcile to the fact now, you do not worry about the future. Whereas if you have never been taught like this, when suddenly death comes, oh my God, what will I do? Bhayam. Right. So that is why slowly, Shastram will take the fear out of you of this fear of death. So when there is no fear of death, what is there? What else is there? Ultimate fear of death, fear is death only. Ultimate fear. There is no other fear other than this. So if you conquer death, that ultimate fear, then there is nothing here which is going to stop you. So you are a free person. You are already free. That is what he's trying to say here. So we'll look at the elaborate meaning of this next class. Have you got any questions in today's class so far? Anyone? All clear? Radhaji, everything okay?
Yeah, fine, sir. Good, sir.
Okay, so we will conclude our class here and then we will meet next week. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadhaya Purnameva Vasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shantihi. Harihi Om Tatsat. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Namaste. Shubhratri.